Fine. So last day we just been talked about cannot specify main if there is a top. See, when you add a project, so it's a question. This is a question. Can't specify main if there is a compilation unit with the top level statements. I do not understand the error. Did everyone come across this error? When you add a project, by default program class is getting created now. The program class, what did I say, from 2022 Visual Studio 10.0, you can directly write console.writeLine. No need of writing a class and all. If you have code like that, if you have code like this, then you cannot specify the startup object. Then you cannot specify the startup object. That's the reason why, I am rewriting that code back into a class format. Did you notice it? Whenever I add, by default, it comes with program.cs with the top element. What did I do? I deleted that and I defined it back in a class format with the main method. Are you clear? Now, if you remember that line, console.writeLine, it writes you. There is no main method there. There is no main method there. In that scenario, you cannot specify the startup object. You can't specify the startup object. That is why after creating a project, even in the two projects you created, there are two projects now. One is Oops project and one is second project. In both the two projects, remember, I changed that class, I changed that particular code again back into a normal class. What did I write? Class program, and I converted it into a normal class without using the 10.0 feature. Why did I do that is, if I don't do that, see, when I added the class, it came only with one element on the top. What is it? Console.writeLine. Yes or not? So now, in this scenario, you cannot specify. What you cannot specify? Startup object. That is the meaning of the statement. Are you clear? Oh, is that Neelam? Yeah. Are you clear? Yeah. That is what. That's why I'm changing that particular code back into a class format. Okay. So last day we stopped it here, guys. What's it? We are consuming the classes defined in Oops project under second project, correct? We consumed the classes defined in Oops project under second project. And to consume them, what did I say? First thing is you're required to add a reference. Second thing is you're required to import the namespace. And then you need to create the instance of the class or inherit from the class and consume it. Two options to you. Inheritance is also possible. Instance creation is also possible. You can do whatever you want. Okay now? Fine. Now in this process, I stopped it here. Oops project dot. This has 44 types in it. But when I say dot, I got only 5. Have you checked out your notes? Your code you have checked out? These 5 classes are declared as public. But remaining all the classes are internal. By default, all the classes are internal. That is the reason why I'm not able to access the classes here. But these 5 classes, when I defined all these 5 classes as public classes. Because I defined them as public classes, I'm able to access them outside of the project also. Okay? But if the class is internal, what is the scope of the class, you know? Within the project only. You can consume anywhere in the project, but only within the project. But is not accessible out of the project. That's why the 44 types in the project, 39 types are internal. 39 types are internal. But the remaining 5 types, what are 5? Figure, cone, rectangle, triangle, circle. These 5 are public. Because they are public, they are accessible to you outside of the class. Because they are public, they are accessible to you outside of your particular class. So if you observe here, what is that file, guys? Test figures. Observe. Figure is public. Okay, cone is public, circle is public, triangle is public, rectangle is public. But see, test figures is not public again. What is it? That's why it is not accessible to you there. So did you understand the scope of internal and public? Internal means within the project. And the default scope for all the types is internal. If you don't specify, that is internal. But I change it to public. Public means no discussions on public here. No need to discuss anything on public. Public means global, can be accessed from anywhere. No restrictions at all. Okay. So today we are going to understand about an important topic here, that is access specifiers. What are these access specifiers? We use these on types and members to define the scope. Listen carefully. We use this on types and members to define the scope. What is member scope? Scope means accessibility or visibility. What is scope? Scope means accessibility or visibility. Okay, which tells about from where we can access or consume a type or members. From where you can consume, from where you cannot consume. Are you clearer or not? Okay, see, generally, you see transport vehicles. They'll have permit. For personal vehicles, you don't have a restriction. You can travel all over the country. No restriction. No one will stop you. But generally, when you take a transport vehicles, they have permits. If the permit is given only within the state, they can travel only within the state only. Are you clear? Okay, so they can also take like an all India permit. If it is all India permit, you see like a big vehicles like lorries and all will have all India permit. So when you have all India permit, they can deliver the goods from any place in the country. Yes or not? But if the permit is not available, you cannot travel out of the state. Within the state only. So this is also same only. What is the scope? What is the visibility? From where you can access or from where you can consume? That's what exactly the scope tells about. So what the scope talks about? The scope talks about the visibility or the accessibility. From where you can access and from where you cannot access. That's what exactly the scope talks about. Okay. And one more thing, these are also modifiers only. These are also modifiers, but are different from other modifiers. That is, we use this for defining the scope. What is it? All keywords are modifiers here. Virtual is a modifier. Override is a modifier. Abstract is a modifier. Sealed is a modifier. All keywords are modifiers only. So access specifiers are also modifiers. But these are something different from other modifiers. That is, we use this for defining what? Scope. We use this for defining the scope. So don't forget, modifier means keyword. Every keyword is a modifier. Static is a modifier. Virtual is a modifier. Override is a modifier. Abstract is a modifier. Sealed is a modifier. You used all these things till now. Now same way, public is a modifier. You remember the syntax of a class or a method? Modifiers. And all keywords will come under the modifiers category, I said you. So these are also modifiers only. Okay, but these modifiers are something different from the other modifiers. We use these modifiers for defining what? Scope. Okay, and C# supports the following what? Access specifiers. C# supports the following access specifiers. What are those? First one, private. Second, internal. Third, protected. 4, protected internal. 5, public. And 6, private protected. introduced, that was later came in 7.3. Earlier we have only five. What are five? Private, internal, productive, internal, public. And later on in C Sharp 7.3, they introduced something called as private productive. So we'll try to understand the scope of all the things now. Okay, what is the scope of private? What is the scope of internal? Everything we'll try to understand in detail. I won't tell you anything, guys. I'll make you yourself analyze and answer the questions. Okay, so I'm not going to talk anything. Guys, I've told you this project. We'll come back to this. To understand access specifiers, let me create a new project firstly. A complete new project I'm creating. Yeah, what's it? Console application. Name it as Access Demo 1. Access Demo 1. Choose your folder, C# 9, right? And coming to the solution name, what did I say, guys, day before yesterday? Whatever is the project name, solution name also will be same, I said, you know? But at the same point, I said, you, if you want, you can change this also. Earlier, we did not change it. Let's change it today. My solution. Now you say your project name is Access Demo 1, but your solution name is My Solution. Till now, what a confusion, you know, in the previous case, solution name is also its project name is also its project. Now it is very clear. Solution name is My Solution. Under that, you'll find a project called as Access Demo 1. Is that clear, all of you? Click on the next button. Create. Yeah, this one I'm telling you. Top level element. This is the top level element. If you have this type of top level element, in this scenario, startup object cannot be set. Are you clear? That's why change it into a class. So let me delete off the code here and write it. What? Namespace. What's the namespace? Access Demo 1. Next, I'm defining a class here, guys. Default scope is internal, huh? But I'm writing public now. Public class. What's the class? Program. Okay now? Now in this class, I want to write 6 methods. Simple code here, but each method with a different scope. That's all. I want to define 6 methods here, but each method I'm going to define it with a different scope. Nothing other than that. Okay, so you know how to write methods. I don't require to tell you now how to define methods in your code. But the only thing I'm showing you right now is we are going to write these 6 methods with the 6 different scopes now. That's all. So let me copy paste here. You'll easily understand the things. I'll show you. Nothing there. Watch now. First method, private. To understand the private, I named it as a test1 underscore private. Okay now, a private method. Second one, internal. Test2 internal. Test3 protected. Test4 protected internal. Test5 public. Test6 private protected. Are you clearer? So you have 6 methods now, and each method is defined with a different scope now. Now what is our job now? We are trying to understand what is the scope of each and everything, from where, scope in the sense, from where they are accessible and from where they are not accessible to us. What members are accessible from other places. That's what. Okay, I'll tell you. But one thing remember, any member of the class that is defined with any scope, any member of the class that is defined with any scope is always accessible within the class. Array, everything is accessible within the class, yeah. Then what are the restrictions? Restrictions comes into picture when you go out of the class. Are you clearer or not? When will restrictions come? When I go out of the class, restrictions will come. Within the class, you will never have any restrictions. So today, I don't have any restrictions in accessing these things. I can access each and every member here without any conflicts. You can check it out. Watch. Static void main. Okay, create the instance of your class. Program P is equals to new program. And observe it, guys. Everything is accessible within the class. P dot. Have a look. What I said to you yesterday, do you remember? If IntelliSense is showing you, that is accessible to you. If IntelliSense doesn't show you, that's not accessible to you. From here only, no need to type, waste your time also. IntelliSense only will tell you what is accessible, what is not accessible. Are you getting the list of all the 6 now? What is the meaning? Every member is accessible within the class. Every member is accessible within the class. If they talk about any restrictions, that's only out of the class. But within the class, we don't have any restrictions coming into picture. Is it clearer or not? Okay, within the class, you don't have any restrictions coming into picture. You can just say, I can call all the methods. AI shows you, guys. If you just have AI shows you. If it doesn't show you, just type it. Otherwise, AI will show you all the things to you. Just use the tab key. It will fill in the things. That's all. So one is left out. P dot. 6. Yeah, all 6 methods accessible to you. Run the code and watch. So what is the first point we learned now? Every member of the class that is defined with any scope is always accessible within the class. If you talk about the restrictions comes into picture only when you try to access them outside of the class. When you try to access them outside of the class, within the class, they will not. In your home, do you have any restriction like you should not enter into that room or this room? Tell me. You have a home, you have 4 or 5 rooms now. In that you can go to any room you like. There is no restriction like you should not enter this room or that room. But you visited someone's house. You're a guest. You're asked to live in a room. You're restricted to that room only. You don't have a right to go to other rooms now. Are you clearer or not? So exactly. So within the class, restrictions will never come. The restrictions will start for you only out of the class. Shall we see the restrictions now? Tell me. Now tell me, in how many ways can I consume a class from other classes? 2 ways. What are the 2 ways? Inheritance, instance creation. Let's try both the 2 options today now. What do you want to do? Program class has 6 methods now. I want to consume the members of the program class from another class by inheritance. Did you catch my point? I want to consume the members of program class from another class by inheritance. Means you're going to define a child class now. Am I correct? Yes or not? Okay, so remember, let me add a new class in the project. I will name this class as 2. Second class here, just to understand, I'll name this class as 2, TWO. 2. Okay, now this class 2, I'm inheriting from program. So now class 2 is a child class now. But did you understand? You are consuming the members of a class from a child class now? Yes or not? What is that? Consuming members of a class from child class. What did you do earlier? Members of a class from? Same class here, not parent class or child class. Same class. Okay, you are consuming the members of the class from same class. Here, understood? Now you are consuming from the child class. This is the second scenario. Consuming members of the class from the child class. Now when you are inheriting, you will create a child class instance, a parent class instance. Child class only. We don't create the parent class instance now. What we create is the child class instance. So 2 T is equals to new 2. Understood all of you? Okay. Now listen. Now I want to access the members. Let us see what members are accessible now. Look guys, what members are accessible? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Means what is not accessible? What is that one? Can you tell the scope of private now? What is that? Within the class. When you say within the class, again, no need to use the same now. Within the class. So members that are declared as a private in a class are accessible only within the class, not accessible outside of the class. So did you understand private? First one, private. Okay. Members that are declared as private in a class or structure, they can be structure also, are accessible only within the type. Because it's a class or structure, that's why I use the word within the type, within the type. And don't forget, do you remember this? Default scope for members of a class and structure is private only. Already I did not tell about structure, but I said about class. What did you say? I said you the default scope for members of the class is private. A number of times I've pinpointed you this one. Not only is class here, now I'm also telling you the default scope for the members of a class and the structure is private. Both are private only. For a class also it is private only. For a structure also it is private only. For both the two things it is going to be private. Is the point clear, all of you? Yes or not? Okay, fine. Now another important thing. We can use private only on members, but not on types. What is that? Don't have a private class, guys. Don't have a private class or a private interface or private structure one day. Private members are there, but not private types. Okay now? And another point, interface cannot contain private members in it, and moreover, the default scope for members of an interface is public. You already learned it. Every member of an interface is by default public. You cannot define private members in a interface. Come on, read all the 4 points. Any doubts? Let me know. Can I join your newly started batch from yesterday? No, don't give permissions like this in whatever batch you want to join here. You are a student of this batch. You need to continue there. If you want to change, they'll ask you to pay the rejoining fees again. Talk to the admin. I don't know. You consult your admin. Today's class link. You're in the class now. You're asking the link. You want video? I said you in the starting classes for all of you. Don't ask based of my tongue, that's all. That's my mouth pain, that's all. They won't give you. Even you cry also, they won't give you. I'm very clearly telling you, they don't give you videos at all. Are you clear with the 4 points? What is the first point? If you declare a member as a private in a class or a structure, what is it? Only within the class. Second point, default scope for a class and structure is private only. Third point, private cannot be used on types. It can be used only on members. Fourth point, interfaces cannot contain private members, and the default scope for members of an interface is public. No private members are allowed in interface CIs. The default scope is public itself. Okay now? So clear with private? Okay. Now we are just here. What methods can I call, guys? I can call a internal method. I can call a protected method. I can call what's it? Protected internal. I can call public, as well as I can call 6 private protected. Is it clear, guys? Okay. Now let's set the startup object. Startup object. Access demo 1 dot class 2. Yeah. You can see one method you're not able to call. What is it? Private. Okay. Now, what is the other way you can consume the members of a class from another class? By creating a instance. Let us test that one also now. Let me add a new class. We'll name the class as 3. And from here also you want to consume the members of program. From here also we can consume the members of program. Are you clearer or not? From here also we can consume the members of the program. So now how you want to consume? By creating an instance, inheriting by creating an instance. So now can I say class 3 is not a child class of program now? Tell me, can I say class 3 is not a child class of program? Class 2? Child class 3? Non-child class. Class 3 is a non-child class. So what I'm trying to tell you now, you're consuming the members of a class from. Understood the descriptions? So that's what, understand each and every case. In the first case, what you learned, consuming members of the class from same class. Second case, consuming the members of a class from child class. Third case, consuming the members of a class from non-child class. That's what you're observing. Are you clearer? Okay, come on. Now let us see what methods are accessible to us. What methods are accessible? Have a look, guys. 2, 4, 5. What is not accessible? 1 is not accessible. Already discussion on 1 is completed. Within the class only, out of the class, that won't be accessible. No need to talk on 1 again now. Now tell me, what is newly not accessible? 3 and 6. What is 3? Protected. What is 3? Protected. First let us analyze protected. What is protected now? Tell me what is the meaning, what is protected now? What is the scope of protected? Accessible only within the child class. Accessible only within the means, not accessible to non-child classes. Guys, this is the difference between inheritance and instance creation. Are you clear? In inheritance, more members are accessible. Did you notice it? But instance creation doesn't provide access to all the members. Are you clearer or not? See, you can drive your father's car or your father's bike as like a owner of the car. You have all the rights on it. Yes or not? Except selling the car. Except selling the car. You have all the rights on it except selling the car because that is not on your name. That is not on your name. If you want to sell that car, your father has to sign on it. But that's like a private. You can use it, but you cannot sell. Okay? But suppose, guys, you are just borrowing a vehicle from your from the next in your next house. There is a family very close to you. Very close to you. Urgently, you want a vehicle to travel somewhere. You went and asked your uncle, can you give me your scooter or a car? I have an urgent work. So very close family, they have given you. Are you the owner? Are you the owner? Can you drive like a owner of the car? No, you won't. You cannot do, you will be very careful when you handle that. Yes or not? But we don't have the same care when we handle our own vehicle. But we handle with very care when we just take the vehicle from others. Are you clear? You don't have permission. You just taken your father's car and you just got it repainted with a new color now. No problem. You take your uncle's car and get repainted. Do you have a right to do that? No, that's what. So that's what the difference between inheritance and creating an instance. So creating an instance means borrowing from someone. You don't have rights, complete rights. You can only travel, give it back, that's all. You don't have complete rights. But when you are going for inheritance means that came from your parents. You have all the right on it. Understood my point? So that's the difference between inheritance and creating the instance. Okay, now tell me guys, protected. Can you tell me scope of protected? Members that are declared as protected in a class are accessible only to their child classes. That is, a non-child class cannot access them. Are you clear? Here, I did not use structure. Are you observed it? Why? Why? In the first case, I said class or structure, na, but here I said only class. I did not use about structure. Object. Structure doesn't support inheritance here. Already talked on it. Structure doesn't support. Then why should I say about that one now? It's only about inheritance. Here we talked about inheritance scenario. When structure doesn't support inheritance, there is no point of talking about the structure here. Okay? And here also this point applies. Are you clearer? Just 2 points to understand there. That's all. Read them carefully again. Is it clear? Tell me. Understood all of you? So that is about protected. So protected. One more thing not accessible to us here. Private protected. Private protected. It's a combination, guys. Private protected. That also behaves like protected only. That is also behaving like a protected. We have one more difference. I'll clarify. Hold on. I'm not telling anything about private protected now. In the last, I will explain you about private protected. I'm coming in a sequence. Internal private clear, protected clear. Okay, still what we need a clarity? Internal, protected internal, louder, private protected, 3 only. Sir, what about public? I already said you here, no need discussions on public. No need any discussions on public. Public means global, from anywhere you can call it. So I'm just writing off it there, guys. What? Public. Types and members that are declared as public or global in scope and are accessible from. No need to talk, no more, just one liner, that's all. Just one line, that's all. What is it? They're global, they can accessible, means no restrictions or no restrictions here. Everywhere you can access. Everywhere you can access public. Okay now. So we need to get a clarity about 3 things still. What are the 3? Internal, protected internal, private protected. Internal, protected internal, and private protected. These are the 3 things what we require a clarity still. So let us just come up to a conclusion about the remaining 3 things also. What 3? Internal and all. Right now we saw 3 scenarios now. What are the 3? Consuming members of a class from same class, consuming members of a class from child class, consuming members of a class from non-child class. Are you clear? So basically, child class, non-child class. Put these 2 things in the mind. Child and non-child. Right now, this child and non-child are present in the same project. Am I correct? They can be in another project also. Array, 2 and 3 only are talking. 1 means same class. Leave it. 2 and 3. What is 3? 2? Consuming from child class. 3. Now the child and non-child are same project. Correct? They can be in another project also. That's what I'm telling. They can be in another. Means we are going to come across 2 more scenarios. Can you tell the 4th one? I did not ask you about the scopes here. 3 scenarios we talked now. Now 2 more scenarios. 4th scenario. Consuming members of a class from child class in another project. That is what I'm telling. What I'm talking, stick to there. You're deviating. Why you want to interrupt in something? I talked about 3 cases. And 2 more cases are there. I said you be in that line. What is the first case? Consuming members of a class from same class. Second scenario. Members of a class from child class in same project. Okay now? Third one. Non-child class from? Now understand 4 and 5 now. What is 4? Members of a class from child class in another project. 5th one. Members of a class in non-child class in another project. Child class in another project and non-child class in another project. Okay? We can use private on members, but on what should I explain you? You don't have a private class, means you can't declare your class as private. This is invalid. That is invalid. You cannot say private. See, when I use private, the class 3 is giving error there. That's what I said here. Private can be used only on members, but not on types. Not classes, types. Maybe a class, maybe a structure, maybe an interface, maybe an enum, or maybe a delegate. They cannot be used. Yeah, let me complete this, guys. Here I can call only 2, that is internal. Next, I can call public. Oh, we missed it. We can also call 4. Yeah. 2, 4, 5. Internal, protected internal, public. These 3 are accessible. Okay now? So now you want to say, check with the 4th and 5th case. If you want to check with the 4th and 5th case, what to do first? You need to add a new project under the solution now. You need to add a new project under the solution. Come on, let's do it. Can you help me? How to do that? Right click where? Tell them. That's what I'm telling you. Be descriptive. Right click on the solution. Right. Add new project. Okay now? What a console app. Just to choose the console app. Next. Give a name. What the name I'm giving is Access Demo 2. Watch it, guys. It is taking the same solution. Okay now? Next. Create. Observe. Is it clear? Now I want to define 2 more classes here. I'll name the classes as 4 and 5. I'm following the sequence here 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 and 5. Okay, 4 and 5. So I want to name this class as 4. I want to name this as 4. So what I'm trying to tell you is, generally when you want to rename a class, always rename the file. It will rename the class also. Rename the file. Don't rename the class. If you rename the file, it will rename the class. But if you rename the class, it won't rename the file. So let me rename this as 4.cs. Okay. Now let me write the code here. What? Namespace. What's the namespace now, guys? Access Demo 2. Next, class 4. Class 4. Okay. Now I'm writing a main method, and what is my intention? I want to consume the members of the class program from here. Okay. Now we want to consume a class from another project. What are the 3 steps I explained to you? Step 1. Add a reference, not create a reference. Add a reference. You just required to go for adding a reference now. Okay, come on, let's add a reference. How to add a reference? Right click on Access Demo 2. Add project reference. Opens a window called Reference Manager. In the left hand side, choose Browse. Browse button. Select it from the physical location. Come on. DLL, yes, yeah. Add a reference always to DLL, guys. Okay. Yeah, just add. When you select add, add here automatically. Old one is a old one. That remove from the list. That's okay. Yesterday we added that. That was showing that. That's it. Yeah, access demo 1. Click on the OK button. And I hope you guys remember when you add a reference, I shown you here. Under dependencies, you'll have assemblies. Under assemblies, it will show you the assemblies reference there. Okay, now I want to consume it by inheriting. What is the second step? Import the namespace. Is it mandatory? Should I import the namespace? Can't I write like this? Can I do this also? Like this also we can consume it. Importing is not mandatory. But what is the problem I showed you in the last class? 8 times we discussed it. But here 1 time only now. That's why I directly went for prefixing of. When you want to use it for only 1 time, prefix of, guys. When you want to use it for multiple times, then go for import. Last class, see 8 times. So, importing is better. Today, 1 time. So, prefixing is better. Okay, now? Now tell me, class 4, is it a child class of program or not? Yes or not? So, now, let me copy this description here. Class 2 description. I'm copying the description of class 2, pasting at class 4 and changing in another project. Are you clearer or not? So what is the difference here? Both are child classes only. Like what? Like what means, say, you have a child, a son or a daughter. You have a child, a son or a daughter. Your own son or a daughter. Not only that, here, for all the boys, your brother's son or daughter is also a child only. For girls, your sister's son or daughter is also a child only. Am I correct? But not like own. They're like cousins. Correct? So this is also same only. This also same. So for 4 also, parent is program only, but not own child. Not a own child. Okay? Now, whatever rights a own child have, will the same rights be applicable for your brothers or sisters children for you? No, no. So here also same thing will apply. Watch it. Create the instance of the class 4. F is equals to new 4. Console.readline. Now, come on. Let's go for analyzing what members are accessible. Have a look, guys. 3, 4, 5. What is 1? Private. Discussion completed. Ignore it. What is 2? Now tell me what is the scope of internal. Within the project, members that are declared as internal are accessible only within the project. So guys, have a look. Now let's talk about second scope. What is that? Internal. Members and the types are types and members that are declared as internal are accessible only within the project, both from are you clearer or not? And do you remember this? Already said you. What is the default scope, guys? And are you observing one thing? For private, read the first line. Members that are declared, stop it. Members that are declared for internal. Types and members for protected. Members that are declared for public. What did you understand? Here I'm telling you again, private cannot be used on types. That is why here I said you only members. Okay, protected cannot be used on types. So here also I said you only about members. But internal, I can use it of types and members. Public. On types, you can have only two scopes here. On types, you can have only two scopes. Default is internal, can be changed to public. Private, protected, protected internal, as well as private protected. These four scopes cannot be applied on types. See, very simple. Types have only two scopes. Default is internal. Second option, public. Members can have six scopes. Members can have six scopes. All the six applies only to members, but not types. Types can have only two scopes. Default internal scope. If you want to change it, change to public. That's it. No other alternative available. Okay, now, are you clear with internal now? Now tell me, class 4 is within the project or out of the project? Child or non-child is secondary. But first question is, it is not in the project. It is in another project. That is the reason why internal is not accessible. What about protected? Protected is accessible. Why? Child class, guys. Child classes can access protected. Sir, not in the project now. That's none of your business. Child class or not. That's all. Are you getting my point or not? It's a child class. It can access. So F dot 3 is protected. 4 protected internal. Public. Are you clear? So child classes in other projects cannot access. Child classes in other projects cannot access internal members as well as private protected members. Are you clear? Understood about the 4? What 4? Private, internal, protected, public. What do you need still? Private, protected. You know them, yeah. If you know these 4, you know those 2 also then. What is private protected, you know? Private protected is newly added in 7.3, yeah. Accessible only within the child classes of the same project. Accessible from child classes of the same project. Only from the child classes in the same project. Now see, class 4 is a child. But even the class 4 is a child, you are not getting private protected now. But you are getting protected. Understood the difference between protected and private protected? Protected is accessible to all child classes. Private protected is accessible only to child classes in the project. Child classes in the project. Understood? Listen. What is that? Private protected. What's it? Members that are declared as private protected in a class are accessible only to their child classes defined within the difference between protected and private protected is only one. What is it? Protected is accessible to all child classes and private protected is accessible to child classes in the same project. Not accessible to child classes out of the project. Okay, now what is left out? Protected internal. You know scope, you know protected now? You know internal now? Combine both guys. Protected internal enjoys dual scope. It enjoys dual scope. What is the dual scope? What the dual scope is? Within the class, within the project. Within the project, it is internal. Within the project, it is internal, accessible from anywhere in the project. Within the project, it is internal, accessible from anywhere in the project. Out of the project, internal will lose the scope. And when you go out of the project, internal will lose the scope now. Immediately, it changes to protected. Immediately, it changes to protected. And after changing to protected, it is telling you, I'm still accessible if you are my child class. I'm still accessible if you are my child class. Did you understand now? See, you notice internal, protected internal. Protected internal is accessible in 1, 2, 3 cases now. Same class, child class and project, non-child class and project. In all cases, protected internal is accessible to you. Now, in case 4 also, protected internal is accessible. What is case 4? Child class and the project. But now, whatever, now it is not accessible to you as internal. Now it is accessible to you as protected. In the first 3 cases, it is accessible to you as internal. Now, out of the project, it is accessible to you as protected. Okay, I'm again telling you, it enjoys dual scope. Within the project, it is internal. Within the project, it is internal. So accessible to the whole project, child, non-child, anywhere. Outside the project, what will happen? Internal is losing the scope. When internal is losing the scope, immediately it changes to what? It changes to protected. It changes to protected, and automatically it is telling you, I'm still accessible to you if you are my child class. Are you clear? Yes or not? Okay, that is what protected internal is. So let me tell you, protected internal. Members that are declared as protected internal enjoy dual scope. They enjoy dual scope. That is, within the class, they are, what are they? Internal, providing access to all. Providing access to, or I'll say providing access to both child and non-child also. And once they are out of the project, we change to protected and are accessible to their child classes. That is what protected internal is. We can use protected internal only on members, not on types. The same thing here also should tell that. For this also, we can use only on members, but not on types. Are you clear? So what is accessible to you? Protected is accessible because it is a child class. Protected internal is also accessible because it is a child class. Public note, no need discussions on this again and again here. Anywhere you can call, already confirmed it. How to run this class? What property should I set? Louder. Startup project. Not startup object now. It is startup project. How to set? Right click. Set as startup object. Set as startup project. I'm sorry. Set as startup project. And run the code. It runs. Private protected is also dual only. There's also dual only. So you can see now, these are the 3 things accessible. Now finally, there's a question for all of you. I'm adding a new class here, class 5. And class 5 is going to be my 5th scenario. What is this scenario? Consuming members from non-child class in another project. Non-child class in another project. I will look. This is same as class 3. I'm copying this. placing in the class file. Consuming maps the class from non-child class in another project. Your child class in another project. Your non-child class in same project. And this one, child class in same project. Right? 2 is child class in same project. 4, child class in another project. 3, non-child in same project. 5, non-child in another project. That's all. Same project and the project. Okay. Now, I want to create the instance of the program class here. Now, guys, understand, if you want to create the instance of the program class, what you said, program P is equals to new program is 2 times you require to write. Access demo 1 dot program P is equals to new access demo 1 dot program. Statement is lengthy and 2 times you should write. In that scenario, what did I say? Array, don't prefix here. Right? Import. How to? Access demo 1. So that's straight away you can say program P is equals to new program console dot read line. Come on, guys. Now the question before you. I will ask you answer the questions now. The first question, can I call private members? No, why? Private is accessible only within the class. You're out of the class now. So private is not accessible. Okay. Can I call internal? Why? It's accessible within the project. You're out of the project now. Can I call protected? No. Why? Accessible only to child and is an on-child. Correct? Protected internal. No. The answer for protected internal is very easy, you know. If a protected or internal is accessible, protected internal is also accessible. Protected internal not accessible, then protected internal is also not accessible. Did you understand? If it protected or internal, any of these two are accessible, then protected internal is also accessible. If these two are not accessible, then protected internal is also not accessible. Private protected. First thing is non-child class. What is a non-child class? You can forget about within the project, out of the project. Non-child class means no. So now you understood? Private is not accessible. Internal not accessible. Protected not accessible. Protected internal not accessible. Private protected not accessible. Then what is accessible? Only one thing. What is that? Public. Check it out. That's what I said to you. In all scenarios, public is accessible or not? That's what I said to you. What is it? Public means global in scope. Can be accessed from anywhere. No rules, no regulations. No rules. From anywhere you can just access public members. So let us come here and set the startup object. Guys, I did not show you this. I forgot to show you this yesterday. For access demo 2, you added the reference of access demo 1 assembly now. That information is written in the file now, project file. See there. It writes that information. References. It includes so and so and the path. So and so location. Access demo 1, bin, debug, net 6.0, 1.dll. That reference added. Is it clear? That information it writes. So tomorrow, what references are added to my project, you can come here and verify all the references that are added to your project from here. Okay. Startup object. What's it, guys? Access demo 2.50. 4 already executed. 5. Okay. Public method. Why using system library is mandatory? Read your notes here. Already explained you on the day 1 when I started working with Visual Studio. Read. Go and read. I given the notes also for that. Okay. So public method. So you can see this is public method. That is the only method that is accessible to you in this case. Are you guys clear with all the 6 scopes? Yes or not? So to demonstrate this, I have defined 2 projects, 5 classes. 2 projects and 5 classes, and I shown you 5 different scenarios. Tomorrow, when you start working in the industry, you will come across these 5 cases only. There is no other alternative or no other chance. Understood my point or not? Anytime you should come under these 5 cases only. Okay? There is nothing new or nothing going to be extra to you. Either consuming from same class or child class or non-child class of same projects. Next, child class or non-child class in and the project. There is no other scenario that comes into action at all. Only 5 what you will be facing up in the industry. Got it, all of you? Yes or not? Okay, so fine. I given you all the code, guys. This is class 1. This is a program class first, and below that you have class 2. Then you have class 3. Just a second. Class 3. Okay, class 3 scenario, you remember now? Non-child and other projects. Next one, adding a new project. Access demo 2. Add the reference of access demo 1. How to add a reference? Already said in the last class and given the notes to you. Practice, guys. Again and again, I don't repeat. I just clearly explained you all the process to you, so you given the notes. You must practice. Yeah, this is a class 4. And then we have class 5. Then we have the class 5. And you saw all the 5 scenarios and 6 scopes. This is the chart which is going to tell you about all. In the left hand side, you have all the cases. On the top, you have all the scopes. Here we have all the cases. Here you have all the scopes now. What is the first scope? Private, internal, protected, private, protected internal, and all the last one is public. Okay, and what next? The next thing is the cases. How many cases we discussed? 5 cases. On the left hand side, you put all the 5 cases here. Yeah. What is case 1? Same class, same project. Case 2. Child class, same project. Child class and same project. Case 3. Non-child class, same project. Case 4. Child class, another project. Case 5. Non-child class, another project. Totally 5 cases. Okay, now if you watch at the chart, guys, all of you, then watch at the chart, you'll understand first. Same class, same project. What is accessible? Private. Okay, private is accessible. Internal accessible. Array, first method here, all 6 are accessible to you. Second scenario, except private, remaining 5 are accessible, remember? In this scenario, private, protected, private protected, private protected, private protected. Array, private, understand your combination only, na? Private not accessible, protected not accessible, private protected also not accessible. So what is accessible then? Internally accessible and protected internal accessible, public. Next, child class, another project. What? Protected, protected internal, public. Private, internal, and private protected are not accessible. Private, internal, private protected are not accessible. What is accessible? Protected, internal, public. Last case, 1 only accessible. See, very easy to remember these now, guys. Very easy to remember. Protected internal is very simple. If internal or protected accessible, then protected internal is also accessible. Check that. Both are yes and yes. This is also yes now. Second, yes. Okay. And you see, third scenario. What is the third one? Yes, no. Yes and no. Or condition I said you. And here again, no yes. No is also yes. No, no. That is no. Are you clearer or not? Okay, so that's the case what you just required to understand in this particular scenario. Okay, about the protected internal. What is new is private protected, and I said you the scope of private protected. Private protected means child classes in same project. Child classes in same project. Non-child classes cannot access them at any scenario. So that's about all the scopes. So once you look into this chart, you should get a clarity or a clear picture about all the scopes and their accessibilities to you. Is that clear, guys? Yes or no? Understood? So define all classes one by one and try it out. You will get a clarity. When you're typing IntelliSense only will show you, and at the same time read the notes and look into this chart so that you will be having a clear understanding of all the things. Because tomorrow once you start working up in the real time, once you start working in the real time, the scopes are very, very important to you. Okay, now I'll ask you a question. Answer me. You know this answer. In how many ways can I consume a class from other classes? 2 ways. What are the 2 ways? Inheritance, instance creation. You're very clear about it now? Now my question is, how can I restrict a class? How can I restrict a class not to be accessible for other classes? I don't want my class to be accessible to other classes. Wrong answer. Sealed is a wrong answer. We don't have a private class at all and you're telling private now. Did you understand the question? What is the question? How can we restrict a class not to be accessible to other classes? I have a class. I don't want this class to be accessible to anyone. Means I want to make my classes introvert. With it, that's all. Should not be accessible to anyone. Should not be accessible to anyone at all. What to do? By declaring private. We don't have private class. Already said you. Wrong. Internal is wrong. Internal is right. Internal can, by default, internal only. Class has only 2 scopes. Internal, public. So you can't make the classes private now. You can't make the classes private. You can't make the classes protected. Okay, you can't make the classes private protected. You can't make the classes protected internal. 2 options only. Internal, public. But I don't want my class to be accessible for all other classes. Manoj, this is okay, but not 100% right answer. What the answer is? The Manoj has said by declaring members as private. That's okay. You can do that. If all the members are private, not accessible out of the class, yes or not? But I can create the instance of the class here. Array, I can create the, but no, I don't want. Yes, perfect, Janardhan. That is the right answer. The answer is by declaring the constructor of the class as private. What should be private? Constructor. Class cannot be private. So what you should do? Constructor of the class should be declared private. If the constructor of the class is private, no one can create the instance of the class or no one can inherit. Rule number 1, remember? Inheritance is not allowed. If the constructor of the class is private. Are you clear? Manoj, what is the mistake in your answer, By declaring members as private. What you know? You cannot call the members, but I can create the instance of the class. But what is my requirement? No one should create the instance of my class or no one should inherit from my class also. What to do? Declare the members of the class, declare the constructor of the class as private. If you declare the constructor of the class is private, no one can create the instance of your class and no one can inherit that class also. Are you clear? Yes or not? Okay, second question. How can I restrict only inheritance? Just consume my class by creating instance, but not by inheriting. Louder. Sealed. Sealed is the right answer. Now, the best example. String class, yeah, already said you. String class. You cannot inherit. But you can create the sealed string class instance wherever you want. But can I inherit from string class? Not possible. Are you clear? Now reverse. I want to restrict only instance creation. Consume my class by inheritance, not by instance creation. What to do? If you want to consume my class, consume only by inheriting, not by instance creation. I want to restrict only instance creation. Perfect, Raju. Protector constructor, hey, you learn now only. Constructor should be protected. If constructor is protected, who can consume it? Child class only can consume. Non-child class cannot call the protector constructor now. See here, what you learned first, you know how to consume. Now we are looking at the other side of the coin now, how to restrict. Alright, till now everybody was talking consuming only, but you need to look on the other side of the coin, how to restrict. You want to restrict what? I want to restrict both. What both? Instance creation, inheritance. Then declare the constructor as private. I want to restrict only inheritance. Okay, only inheritance? Yes. Then declare the class as sealed. Class should be sealed. I want to restrict only instance creation. Means I want to give a permission for inheritance. Then constructor should be protected. Constructor should be what? Protected. Okay, I just given that, guys, in this somewhere in the page. Yeah, you can read these 3 questions and the answers. Read them. Guys, I just remember all the class constructors as private. What is it? You declare one public constructor, one private constructor, no use. You declare one constructor public here, you constructor one declared private. What do you use now? I can use a public constructor now. So let's mentioning here, all constructors in the class must be private. Okay now? Next. Okay, that is clear. Only inheritance sealed. Last. So understand, I want to restrict instance creation. I want to restrict instance creation. How to do? The class constructor should be declared as protected. By declaring the class constructors as protected, you can perform this. Is that clearer, all of you? So this is how you are just going to restrict the things now. So till now we talked about consuming, and today we talked about restricting also. Are you clear? If you still have any doubts on it, I have a video on this, but in that video you will not find private protector because that was introduced in C# 7.3.3. The videos are made earlier. That's why you don't find private protector, but remaining 5 you will find. Tomorrow we talk about another interesting topic. What is that? We learned about this concept. Remember, the code of one .NET language can be consumed from another .NET language. What do you call? Language interoperability. Yes or not? So tomorrow I'll show you that one. How to consume the code you write in one .NET language from another .NET language. We'll look into that concept tomorrow. Okay, let's stop here. We'll meet tomorrow.
Recording stopped.